Update 4 on Typhoon Vongfong, which is gradually weakening and is barely a typhoon now actually, with winds of 75 miles per hour and a pressure of 974 millibars. Its position is 27 degrees north, 128 degrees east, just north now of Okinawa, which it passed over as a borderline Cat 1-2 cyclone, and is now moving towards the north, likely to weaken into a tropical storm before grazing the southern coast of the main island of Kyushu, the southernmost main Japanese island, and then moving on to Shikoku and then Honshu, the biggest island of Japan, before moving towards the northeast and eventually out to sea as an extratropical cyclone. But of course the whole country will be experiencing some effects from the storm, particularly in the southern part of Japan, where we'll see tropical storm conditions, possibly typhoon conditions on the islands, and of course heavy rainfall. Typhoon warnings remain in effect for most of the Ryukyu Islands and southernmost Kyushu, the southern tip really, and gale advisories elsewhere for large parts of the southern part of Japan, all of the islands, and the rest of Kyushu, southern parts of Honshu, and most of the island of Shikoku as well. So still a lot of things going on. Even though the storm was a Category 5, it is now a Category 1, but still a strong storm which could cause significant effects on land. So it's moving towards the north, where sea surface temperatures are gradually declining, still around 27 degrees Celsius, but that's not really the killer of the storm. The killer is more likely to be wind shear, which is ever increasing at the moment, very high amounts over the actual main islands of Japan, but where the storm is right now, it is around the moderate stage and is going to increase rather rapidly as it moves towards the north. Dry air is also having its influence just to the west of the storm over China and Taiwan, infiltrating particularly on the southern side of the storm right now. So the computer models the CMC first of all takes the storm towards the north, then the northeast through the Japanese islands and then out to sea, and we'll see no more of the storm after around 2 or 3 days, brushing the southern coast much like the last storm Vongfong did, and 2 new storms possibly forming behind that as well in the actual tropical waters of the western Pacific. We also see Hudhud making landfall in India on these model runs as well, but yes, the current storm Vongfong making landfall on Kyushu by the looks of things, or grazing the southern coast before heading off along the rest of the islands. So the latest satellite imagery, you can see how the storm's been moving towards the north. The eye has sort of disappeared just before it moved over Okinawa. It likely grazed the eastern tip of the island there, possibly moved over, but it's quite difficult to tell whether it did or not. And now it's just a sort of just a central core of the storm really, no eye wall by the looks of things, or indeed an eye anymore, and that will remain the case as the storm moves towards the northeast. Of course it will have a circulation, but it will become gradually more disorganized, I should imagine, but heavy rain is displaced to the north of the storm. That means that southern Japan will definitely be seeing some heavy rain conditions already. That will continue over the next few days. As of October the 11th at 8 PM UTC, Tropical Storm Faye is just short of hurricane status. 2 invests in the Atlantic, 1 in the eastern Pacific. Cyclone Hudhud making landfall in India as a Category 3 storm at least, bordering on Category 4 actually, and Vongfong now a Category 1 typhoon. 65 tropical storms have formed around the world so far this year worldwide. 36 of those have become Category 1 hurricanes or their equivalents, typhoons, cyclones, whatever their names are around the world, and 22 of those have become Category 3 storms with winds of 115 miles per hour or higher. That's 1 more than 2011 and on par now with 2007. And of course Vongfong was the 30th strongest cyclone ever recorded. Here's the list of the top 30 strongest storms ever by wind speed, but of course Typhoon Tip was the strongest in air pressure, reaching a record low of 870. Of course this is since records began. Of course there's plenty of storms that happened before the observational period, but since we started observing storms, say in the 40s, 50s in some places, there's been thousands of storms, so it's quite something to say that Vongfong was the 30th strongest storm ever and the 6th strongest since the year 2000. Those were all the storms that were above it, including Hurricane Wilma, the strongest storm of the Atlantic, reaching 882 millibars. You can visit Force 13 on any of its 6 outlets. The website, force13.com, is the main place to be for all the goings-on around the world, storm-wise. Of course, the video pages, YouTube and Dailymotion, regular video updates, not only of storm updates, but of other things Force 13 related. Keep checking back, subscribe, please do. And the social pages as well, Facebook and Twitter. Please like and follow us, Force 13, at Force 13 on Twitter. Regular updates on there, whatever the weather is. And of course, you can speak to me personally on Skype if you so wish, add Full 13 on there for tropical weather chat. That's all for now. The next update on this storm will follow sometime tomorrow, either at 3 PM or at 9 PM UTC. That's all for now.